Hello, this is Marty Wilson here. Welcome to my first ever non-pressure cleaning related YouTube video. Actually, it is pretty pressure cleaning related, but this channel specifically is something I wanted to set up to talk a little bit about the business side of what I do and what I've done at the company and what I'm doing. I guess all in the name of sharing the journey, connecting with like-minded people out there. And full disclosure, I'm actually franchising the business. So I'll get to that down the track. There's going to be a lot of information that'll be useful otherwise. I think nowadays the old jab, 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 right hook sales pitch is pretty overdone. You know, where people build a community, get a lot of people around them and then say, hey, buy my shit. I'm going to be pretty upfront about that. We've got an opportunity for some people with the whole franchising thing, but this channel is really an outlet for me to talk about small business because I'm pretty pumped on it. I love small business. I love service-based businesses, and I've got a love for systems and customer service and doing things better, and particularly doing things that people say can't be done. I get a kick out of that challenge. So I thought I'd kick off the channel with a video just kind of telling my story. Bit of a journey, a $0 to $1 million business journey and the realities of that. I did share this at the Softwash Australia trade show a couple of years back, but obviously not everyone saw that, and a lot of people commented that it was a cool story or resonated with them in terms of areas their business is going through. So this is like literally Friday Arvo stuff off the cuff. I'm just going to roll with it and I'm just going to put it out there, and there'll be different types of content, whether it'll be just ideas or things I'm working on or lessons we've learned. Just going to kind of document it and have a bit of a bit of fun. So there we go. Onwards and upwards. Let's roll. So my story basically started out in IT when I was much younger and became a corporate prostitute for many years. So didn't like IT, was reasonably okay at it. I was pretty good at getting shit done. So I was good at getting stuff done and I had good customer service and I knew how to toe the corporate line. So I did okay in the corporate world. I nearly got sacked a couple of times for being silly, but let's not talk about that. But I had a reasonably decent career there. Built myself up from a help desk guy to a networks guy, dabbled in a bit of cyber security, which I wasn't too great at, but did it anyway. Became a mid-level manager with a small team and got incredibly bored, and importantly got the golden handcuffs. So if you've never heard of it, the golden handcuffs situation is where you're in a job, you keep going each year, you get paid a little bit more, you get a little bit fatter, get a little bit more comfortable, and that suits some people really well, but deep down it was doing my head in. I really wanted to do more, but I was torn between the idea of actually having to start my own thing or go to another industry and take a huge pay cut. I didn't know how I'd cash flow that. And the other thing that happens in a corporate job, the value of money just kind of blends out to nothing because you're really just trading time for money. So when you're on a salary, I was on about 100K a year, it was just kind of trickling in every week. So you didn't quite see the value in that because you weren't really working for it. You were just showing up. So it's like, get another car, get a loan, use this on the credit card. We'll pay it off this week. And you just sort of get into that revolving sort of going through the motions thing, I think. So anyway, long story short, the job got pretty boring and shit hit the fan. I just got super bored and I was like, I got to do something. So my initial plan was to just start a little business on the side, mainly just to get my mind moving and get excited about something. Like I said, I had a good salary, but didn't have any money, didn't have any savings. Myself and my wife had just bought a house. So worst house, best street scenario, it needed a ton of work, like a massive amount of work, but we took it on as an opportunity, and a few years down the track, those COVID price boom, it's done all right actually. So we did well, but at the time it was really tough. So we did have a lot of money. Whatever we did have, we were ploughing into this house. We had a bigger mortgage. We were trying to do all the things and renovate, and we also had a baby on the way. So an absolutely amazing time to start a business in an industry that you absolutely knew fuck all about. The only way I could do that was to find some money, and all I really had was the other woman, and her name was Alison. She was a 5.1 Allison Fisherman fiberglass, sort of quarter cabin, I guess. And if you haven't guessed already, that's a fishing boat. I was big into fishing. I was the kind of guy that would fish 2, maybe 3 times a week. Pretty full on stuff. I'd go away for days at a time. Of course, I had a nice job with lots of leave, and I wasn't very sort of motivated there, but very motivated into my hobbies. So yeah, big into fishing, but I decided if I was going to run this business, it was going to be on the weekends, and I'd have to swap that passion for a new passion, which would be building business. So yeah, not an ideal time to start, but the lesson out of that was there is no ideal time to start. There's a lot of people who want to start businesses who just don't do anything. And the sooner you start, the sooner you'll either have a win or the sooner you'll fail. And if you're smart enough, you'll fix it and move on. If you're not smart enough to learn by your mistakes, then your business is probably not a great place for you to be in. So that's how I got started. So why exterior cleaning? Well, I wanted a few things out of a business. I didn't want it to be in IT. I didn't want it to be corporatized. I wanted it to be something simple, something with an aspect of repeatability, and an industry that had an opportunity to add a little bit of an edge to it through process and, importantly, technology. So I could leverage a lot of all my skills that I'd been using for 15 years. Admittedly, a lot of it, not many exterior cleaning companies need to program a Cisco 2900 series router, which I knew some of what to do, but I was technically minded. I could work shit out, and it was actually a nice opportunity to be on the user end side of technology so that I could mash the technical requirements with the user requirements and push things forward really quickly. So the software side of things in the business wasn't hard for me at all. I'd also done a bit of marketing. Like, I had an interest in marketing and internet marketing. I liked the idea of Facebook ads. So to give you some insight, when I sold my first house in 2007, I didn't feel that the real estate agent was giving the listing enough exposure. So I was running Facebook ads for it. So it was super cheap at the time, a few bucks a day, and it got it out to an audience, and we got more people through the open. So I've always had an interest in that. I think it's a cool thing in terms of trends and audiences. I've been on the internet since like 98, so maybe earlier. Actually, I've been on the internet since it was text. So I've kind of got an interest in trends and pop culture and where things are going, and I could definitely see Facebook ads as a cool thing to be involved in. I also like the idea of just being involved in, I guess, what's called a boring business. I definitely got a kick out of being able to do a simple service that no one really wanted to do. One of the cool parts about the boring business thing was being in IT, everything you learn is obsolete in 12 months. So you could never really get good at things. All you could get good at was learning. So the idea of actually having a craft or a process and refining it and chiseling away at it and getting better at it was really appealing to me. So why exterior cleaning? I started looking into businesses that were taking advantage of online marketing, because that was my other interest. And I came across some stuff on Reddit where people were creating home cleaning businesses by basically subcontracting out all the labor and running all the front end. So they actually built a booking engine, they had recruiting software, they would orchestrate all the marketing, and then they would get the jobs, coordinate it all, sub it out, do a 50-50 split with their subs, and kind of manage it all. And there was people building really successful businesses out of that. Now, home cleaning wasn't really a thing that I was interested in, and the whole arbitrage model of using subcontractors wasn't something I was interested in, but definitely that smashing together a seemingly boring business with cool technology was really interesting to me. So it got me into the service industry. I started to think about service and cleaning and trades and those sort of things. Obviously, I couldn't turn around and become a air conditioning electrical technician because that's an apprenticeship. I didn't have time. I needed something with a lower barrier to entry. So I figured, businesses solve problems, and one of the most recent problems that I spoke about just in conversation was through purchasing our house. We had a brand new house up in sort of the Southern Hills region of Adelaide, really nice, beautiful home, and we sold it to try and get near the beach. So we actually ended up with a fairly shitty sort of house, but a really good location. Outside of the location, my wife and I were trying to explain that dream to neighbours, friends, family, and the dream really is we'd love to live on the beach, an esplanade kind of location. And the feedback was, you'd never want to do that. Your property gets trashed from all the salt. There's so much maintenance, rah, rah, rah. And it just got me thinking, who's looking after that shit? Maybe there's a company that just cleans the outside of beachfront property, maintains the surfaces, understands how everything works, and it kind of ticked all the boxes. It was kind of boring. You could add technology to it, had a niche factor. It was a service-based business, and it was recurring as well. So basically from there, I was literally sitting in a server room. If we go back here, this room here, I was sitting on the floor, probably there, because I had to supervise some contractors because that was a secure area. And I thought, fuck it. I got my laptop and I started coming up with business names. So I'm kind of brand driven, and I figured if I come up with a name, the rest will fall into itself. And I came up with probably some of the shittest business names known to man. I excitedly showed my wife. She told me how shit they were and said to try again. And then I just started making word salad. So I thought of everything to do with pressure cleaning or washing or seafront, and just started putting words together. One of those was Fresh Front. It didn't sound shit. It sounded like a brand. It sounded like something, and literally that was it. I was straight onto 99 Designs, had a credit card ready to go, launched a competition for $700 or whatever, and had designers creating the logo. That's what we've ended up with now. Is it the best logo? Doesn't really matter. Not really, but that's the story of how we got started. So here's me looking a little bit confused and sad. You know that meme where, what is it, Harry somewhat, the older guy who's he's sort of everything's okay, drinking his coffee or he's on the computer? That's me there, because that's me out in the wild with no job, trying to run a business, knowing that I'm not making any money. So that was a memorable time. That was my LinkedIn photo. I'll try and look professional, but I just look scared. Anyway, the whole idea of growing a business is really about firing yourself. So my intention was not to just be a sole trader and just run around cleaning stuff. Although that is fun and noble and enjoyable, and I'm still on the truck today, I wanted more out of it. I wanted a scalable business, and I read books like The E-Myth pretty early on, as well as a bunch of podcasts about the right way to do business. And a big trap that people get into is the technician trap. They get into it, they're good at the service, but then everything else falls to the wayside and they can never scale out of it. And that's where you hear things like you can't find good people, or all customers are pains in the ass, or they don't want to pay enough, all these things that can be solved by systems. But I knew early on this business was about getting people around me as best I could to fire myself from each position and grow out of it and replace myself. And basically, what I've done throughout growing the business is create the role, document it to a basic level, find someone who's better at it than me or as just as good as at it, and then get out of their way and make sure they've got the right reward structure. Now, I'll admit I haven't got that perfect throughout the growth of a business. We've made a shit ton of mistakes, absolute fuck ton of mistakes. If you were to add all the time and mistakes and everything up, it's well over $250,000 easy. But I've kept pushing on. So what's your why? Like this book here, Simon Sinek has a great book called Start With Why. And it's really, I guess the synopsis of it is, if you know why you're in business, why your company runs, or why you're doing something, everything else then relates back to that. So for me, my why was a little bit of corporate escapade, but I think for the right reasons. But it was really to build something that was providing some stability and, I guess, ability to change my family tree for my family. And that had to have what is called, well, what I've heard around the place, and I like the term, a bus factor of more than one. So if I get hit by a bus, the business still needs to run. I wanted to create at least the possibility of freeing up some time, not so I could just go back to fishing 3 days a week, and honestly I haven't fished in a long time, but just to free up time to work on and develop things that I think are more important, whether that's family or health or business interests or leisure. I just wanted the freedom. Now, a lot of people get into business wholly and solely for freedom, or they just don't want to be told what to do, but unfortunately the opposite applies. But I knew if I could build structures and playbooks, I could create some form of freedom. I also wanted to play to my strengths. So I've got some great ideas. I think outside of the box. I'm pretty tenacious in getting results, and I'll keep chipping away at things depending on no matter how many mistakes I make. And I knew that these would set me up well in business. And really a business should be an asset for you, not a job. And that's the goal. A machine where investment goes into the top and returns come out of the bottom. And importantly, as hard as it is at times, I wanted to have fun. I wanted to have fun, challenge myself, and as hard as business is, I don't know if I've had more fun, to be honest. There's some really, really hard times, but there's some really cool things that we've done as well. And it's not always obvious until you look back. So from day one, it was all about building something that was a bit bigger than me. I had a plan from day one. I actually went in a local small business, like young entrepreneurs program. I just thought it would get me around people that were like-minded, and it certainly did, and it gave me a good grounding for how to structure a business. Now, I created, part of the outcomes of that course was to create a business plan, and it really forced me to think about what the business could look like. Now, years on, this was in 2017, 2016, years on, what it actually is now versus what we started with is different, but just that ability to plan and forecast and pivot was very useful. And I won a shiny award for the business plan through our local Chamber of Commerce. So that got some good exposure for the company. That was cool. I actually got to, one of the weirdest things was from winning this award, they sent me to a event with a bunch of young lawyers for a local law firm. And it was kind of like a motivational, like how to make it in business event. And here's me not really doing business, just planning, telling a bunch of young lawyers why the pressure cleaning guy is the motivator for life. It was absolutely fucking bizarre. So much that I've probably blocked it out. And life goal unlocked. I actually managed to wear the exact same outfit as the mayor at the time. And we had some lovely discussions about all the work I'd be doing for the council, when honestly we had a bullshit meeting and nothing ever came of it. So there we go. All right, so this is where we go deep and talk about the realities of building $1 million business. So we'll start with the misconceptions that if you get to $1 million, $1 million doll hairs in your business, you're going to be loaded. It's going to be Lambos. You're going to be doing Instagram shit. You're going to be like Andrew Tate. No, but $1 million home service business is a really nice point because it gives you enough dollars to hire people and kind of spread the load a bit. So in that way, it is good. If you structure it right and get all your systems in play, you can actually make some pretty nice living out of it. It's not going to retire you, but it will pay probably more than your mates who are in shitty government jobs, who hate their lives, and you'll also be building an asset. So that $1 million figure is kind of a decent place to be for a service business. How to do it? It's just a whole bunch of compounding, doing a fuck ton of hard things, going against the grain. 2 steps, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But essentially it's all about team building and building systems. That being said, $1 million of revenue is the old adage, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is king. Really, as I've grown my business further, I'm more and more focused on profit, net profit. So what the business makes after paying the entire team, all the costs, paying me as well, what does the business get to keep? And that's where it becomes that sort of asset. Cash flow is also important because you might be profitable on paper, and if you haven't got it, then it's no use to you. But I'll talk about revenue as a marker for like where we were as we grew the business, because that's kind of what rings true with people. So you won't be like Leo if you get to $1 million, but it is probably still worth doing. First 50K, that is where everything's exciting. You've got no idea what to do, you've got anxiety, you're flying blind, you're probably undercharging, you're just constantly researching things that don't matter, you're doing everything for everyone, more services, more, and it's crazy. It's fun. It's actually pretty easy to make that first, $50,000 in your business. How do you do it? Be responsive. Start learning sales and marketing because that's all that matters. Be careful of the equipment trap. So when you start up or grow and get cash, there's a bit of an inclination to sink it back into equipment. That actually doesn't matter. You need sales, you need marketing, you need leads. You got to get your pricing right. There's a whole bunch of stuff you got to get right. The equipment is merely a facilitator to do production to get paid. The first year of my business with a portable machine, working part-time, actually it wasn't even a full year. It was like 8 months. We turned over 67K part-time. Literally just with a portable machine with 30 meters of hose on it. That was about it. I bought a bunch of other equipment from selling the boat to start up the business, as I explained earlier. A lot of that was an absolute fucking waste of time. This one's a funny one. So second year we hit 200K, same basic equipment. At this point I quit my job. Interestingly, I told my job I was leaving by just getting my personal vehicle wrapped and just showing up and waiting to see what people said. Eventually someone kind of said, "You're an idiot, what are you doing?" I told my boss, he said the same, but they allowed me to transition out by using some long service leave. And so over a period of like 3-4 months, I used a little bit of long service leave, a couple of days a week to try and get the business going. The lesson out of that was sometimes it's easier just to rip the Band-Aid off. I thought I was transitioning slowly, but the pain still came when I quit. It was still scary, still had no money. Probably easier just to hit that sooner in hindsight. Flying super blind, trying to hire people to help me. I had a great vision in my head, getting that out to other people without the right systems, no brand recognition, no predictability of our day. It was fucking chaos. So I was attracting, casual people with casual lives who are casual about how they operate at work. It wasn't fun. We had no systems, and I slipped into the equipment trap and hooked myself up on some nice debt. But did manage to get my first staff member on, who was a great guy, and we got some work done together. Lessons at this point, my business kind of sucked, so it was hard to attract staff. Early debt was really shitty because when you're early in business, you don't have a track record, you can't get good rates, you don't have GST registration for a certain amount of period. So the lenders, if you're getting shadow mortgage or whatever it might be, just rape you on the fees. I was paying a silly amount of percentage and justifying it based on a nice monthly fee. So I'm not against leasing, I think it's great, but early debt, you should really bootstrap yourself into the equipment. Once again, equipment is just a facilitator. It actually won't make you money. What will make you money is you putting the boots on and getting out there and talking to people. Another lesson was the more risk you take, the more rewards you get. So I ditched the corporate job and, although it's business revenue, double my income in a year. Now, I didn't get to keep that 200K, but from a first principles perspective, the thing I'd created had made double than what I made working for someone else. You get what I mean. The other lesson was your first hires are real key hires. You got to get the right people because you're not going to have any systems. Things are going to be chaotic. They got to have people who share the vision and are on board with you. Third year, we tipped over 300K. It was getting a little bit crazy. I was wearing all the hats. Burnout, I guess, was kicking in. I thought I knew the numbers because I read my P&L, but really I didn't. My bank account was looking sad. I still kept growing and added another rig and leased a warehouse and just kept running into the fire with no systems. The lesson there was growth is people. You need the right people to grow, and it was too chaotic for me to do everything. So I was maxing out, but I felt like I was kind of investing in the future by getting a warehouse to work from and another piece of equipment to do work so we could hire into that. So we had a very small little warehouse. That's it there, tiny little place. And it allowed us to have a place so we could hire people. They could come to work instead of my house. I think that's kind of important. So, fourth year was 400,000 revenue, and I was looking like this guy, that's for sure. We got another team member on board who's still with us now and a great operator. We were able to get a skid from Softwash Australia because we actually needed it. So we needed to facilitate more work. We got debt on that. It was good debt. It was affordable. That skid made over $1 million. We just retired it, but the cost of the debt was much better because we were established. We had a track record. We'd get better rates. I started to dabble with systems a little bit, but still not much money in the bank, not getting paid quick enough, working harder, long stupid days, working while I was sick, just go, go, go. But I started to invest in myself with audiobooks. And one of the great books that really transformed things for me was a book called The Pumpkin Plan by Mike Michalowicz. It's all about if a farmer was trying to grow a prize pumpkin, he would get half a dozen pumpkins, work out which ones are growing the best, and nurture and care for the ones that provide the most. And the same goes for business and your customers. So rather than being all things to everyone, I really worked out what we were about and just tried to be better at that. But I become a very prolific, when I say reader, I don't read books, I do audio books. If you're in the game, if you're in the service business, an Audible subscription is a gold mine because you're in the car, you're on the tools, you got headphones, earmuffs all day, you may as well be learning. So definitely get into one of those subscriptions. Lessons at this point, you need systems, definitely. Training new staff is not an instant revenue boost for your business. It takes time. So you're going to lose money as you hire someone for a period of months. Now, back when we just started hiring guys, we didn't have good training systems. So it took like 6 months, 12 months to get someone up to speed. Nowadays, I can bring someone into the company. Inside 30 days, they're able to do jobs because we've got the systems and the process. Huge value in that, but that was a massive lesson. Obviously, a big lesson was learning on the go sucks, but you have to embrace it. It's unless you've been there before, unless you got someone to bring you through, it's gonna fucking suck. You're gonna just make mistakes. And mistakes aren't like, oh, you've ruined this thing washing. Mistakes are like, you've hired this wrong person who wasted your time for 4 months, or you've got this piece of equipment that costs a lot of money that you don't need, or you paid this consultant that doesn't help you, or you tried this style of marketing that didn't work. That's the lessons where, remember I said we sort of burnt 250 plus? That's where the lessons are learned. We grew, but it was painful. We're also stuck in a bit of a phase around that $500,000 point that you'll get called cash flow purgatory, where you need the help to run the business and grow the business, but you don't have enough to be profitable to get out of it. So you're just kind of spinning on a cycle. And I see a lot of small service businesses get stuck around this point. And you either got to push through, or ideally you push through. If you're growing, you just grow through it. And there's actually a really cool book that I just read audiobook, called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, I believe. And one of the key things they talk about is really delegation and building systems, and the owner of the business delegating to buy back their time so that they can grow the business. And there's a point constantly in business where you'll hit breaking point where it gets so painful and shit, whereby you really want to retreat back. And I've just gone through that recently. And the lesson is, it's better to push through it, because if you're not growing, you're not surviving. So you need to always be growing, whether it's profitability or your team or personally, you always have to have growth. So when you get that pain point, I guess a lesson out of that is push through as hard as you can. But continuing on, we hit absolute rock bottom. Speaking about that pain point, it got worse. So we got to a point in the business where COVID hit. There was very, very little profit, fuck all profit really. Lots of expenses, silly shit that we just tacked on that we're buying we didn't need. I had expensive debt still servicing from the old equipment. I'd accumulated some ATO BAS debt as well because I wasn't handling that right, and I didn't have it set aside like most small businesses do. My salary was less than minimum wage, much, much less. We got hit with a $15,000 insurance claim from something that we screwed up. I screwed up. I can't blame anyone else. It was my fault. A builder went bust on us, and we didn't get paid for a long, long time. Meanwhile, all of your friends are saying, wow, you're killing it because you're putting before and after photos up on fucking Instagram. That's the only thing that will make the phone ring. I had to sell things to pay my mortgage. So I was constantly listing things on Marketplace and just trying to wheel and deal to pay the mortgage and keep everything sweet at home. I was working like crazy. Whenever I was sick, I just had to keep going. So I had to get the next dollar. I had a very short-term mentality. I wasn't looking long-term. I wasn't looking to step back and fix problems. I was looking to push through them. And partly that's my mindset, something that I've learned to work through, whereby solve the root cause rather than just push through. And I was getting fucking sick of shady ads gurus. Everyone promises the world, you can do this, we'll get this, that, the next thing. And really they were giving me cookie cutter bullshit crap solutions. Now, I should mention I have used some ads people recently in the business. Probably know who you are if you're going to watch this. You guys are great. It's not you. They're based far away from me, but they're fantastic. But early on, we used some local guys who were absolute crooks, and it's very common in the industry. So things had to change for me. I had to get back to my initial vision. I had to get profit. I realized I had to build systems. I had to get everything repeatable, predictable, and scalable. I put my IT hat back on and started building a technology stack for the business, a tech stack. What software are we going to use? How does it integrate? How does it work? How does it make life easier? I realized I really had to market and attract great people, which is still a massive challenge nowadays. but I had to do it by building a great business. The more we put the business out there, the better. And we had to really dial down on the art of service. So get rid of the bad customers and love on the good customers. Coming back to that Pumpkin Plan book. Another book that is awesome to read by Mike Michalowicz is called Profit First. And that was very instrumental in helping me attain profit. If you haven't read Profit First, the principle is it's kind of like the old envelope system where money comes in, you put your bills in one envelope, your tax in one envelope, your savings in the other envelope, you divvy it all up, and then you've always got it. That's kind of the principle behind it. There's a lot more to it, but if you're not great at running financials like I am, it's a fantastic system and all businesses should use it. So 600K plus, we started to transform because I implemented Profit First, the learnings from the Pumpkin Plan. I put the plans into action. I started to understand the numbers. I pushed on. I pushed through the pain despite feeling like shit and feeling like I was failing. I got a bigger warehouse. I got more staff. I got more trucks. I had a repeatable and scalable system. I knew the numbers, not just the financial numbers. I knew my cost per lead, my conversion rates, our booking rates. At this point, business becomes a maths problem. I built dashboards to track it all so I could see it daily. I could see it from wherever we were. And when things weren't going right, I knew which button to press and what to change. I learned that profit is a non-negotiable. Profit always must come first. Without profit, a business is starved. There is no shame in making a profit. I also created a sales role and started that process to fire myself from doing sales, and that allowed me to focus on some other things and continue to grow the business. The lessons, obviously, is the numbers are not just your financial numbers. They could be all your marketing numbers, your production numbers, all of the metrics in your business. You should create a set of key metrics so you can track how the fuck your business is going. If those numbers are red, you start doing stuff. It's as simple as that. And really play your own game. A lot of people around me in the industry, if you've seen me post over the years in pressure cleaning, exterior cleaning forums, I would upset a lot of people because they would ask what pump to use and what machine. I'd say none of them. Build a sales process. Get your marketing dialed in. Start watching your numbers. The equipment will come later. That doesn't matter. So I really played my own game and I continue to do so to the point where I don't consider us to have any competitors. The only competition I'm worried about is someone stealing our team members because we just run our own plays here. We're not caring or giving two fucks about what anyone else is doing. I also learned that hiring your mates or people you know can be okay, but you just need to provide a framework and a structure so that it's clear. So I've done that and done business with friends. We just call it out from the outset whereby we have a contract or a framework or a structure. So the same goes with employees. So that might be hiring people you know as a friend or hiring friends of friends. And one of the unique things we found was if one of our guys hired their mate to work or recommended their mate to work with us, there's a bit more accountability because people don't want to let their mates down. And finally, the lesson, stick to the plan. Have a plan and stick to it. And it was starting to work a little bit. Hitting around that 700K mark, it was still chaotic, but we're starting to get some traction. It was really that 80-20 rule. So 80% of our success came from 20% of our efforts in certain areas. So it's just a matter of doubling down on that. Started to refine systems, really tweak things, and I learned that systems are just continually changing all the time. You just have to be up for that. I outsourced some things, bookkeeping, some marketing to good marketing people, and I took a profit. Through Profit First, I was actually able to take an owner's distribution drawing from the business. So outside of my salary, I was able to take a profit and we went on holiday. Bought new equipment in cash, no more loans, and we were maxed out pretty quickly in our busy season. So brand awareness was getting out there and things were happening. The lessons here: systems will compound. I learned to respect debt, so rather than get debt, I just saved up and pay cash for things where I could. And the systems themselves are intertwined. So as the business grows, you need to update them, and you have to be ready for change constantly. Another huge lesson I found at this point was that capacity in a service-based business is finite. So rather than max yourself out, put hard rules on what your capacity is and put a cost to that. And once it's maxed out or getting close to maxed out, guess what? Number goes up. And it's okay to say no. If you're going to be out there hauling ass, time away from your family, putting your body through it, having stress, you're well within your rights to say no if it's not a good fit for you or your business. It actually takes a little bit to develop that muscle, but it's one worth developing. In the 6-year business, we did $740,000. 7th year, it took 7 years, from 0 to 7 years to do $1 million. We added more staff, we added a truck, we added some non-revenue producing roles such as a service coordinator to coordinate jobs and scheduling and customer support. We've split roles out into functional roles around marketing, admin, production, and sales, and provided accountabilities into those so we could kind of keep everyone accountable in the team. I fired myself again from various roles in the company and really went hard on personal development of myself. So audio books, I got into the gym, I started really trying, I'm not great at it, but really at least dedicating some time. And I'm still hitting the gym now a few years later. Not every single day, but I get there as much as I can, and I do enjoy it, and it's good for the mental health. So that was a big game changer for me. During this period, we started to plan out capacity as well, so that we knew when the busy seasons were coming, when the quiet seasons were coming, and we could kind of forecast for it. The lessons around that $1 million business is, like I said, you're not going to be driving a Lambo. There's still problems, there's just different problems. In some ways, they're a little bit easier to solve if you've got the right team members around you. I really learned that I needed to level up, and as we've grown further, that's been a huge thing for me. So there's a good leadership quote whereby leadership is your lid, as in your growth will only be as good as the leader, and if the leader doesn't develop themselves, then the growth will stall. So you either need to develop yourself or get new leaders in. Certainly, if you have a happy team, you have a happier business. And look, it's not all roses. We've had some ups and downs. The last 12 months as well, we've had to restructure our team, which fucking sucked. You have to let people go. You have to change roles around. But that's just reacting to the growth of the business and what we want to do moving forward. So, like I said, the problems change. It's a little bit different from the problem of Mary's not happy with her paver clean to shit, this role isn't really performing. How can we hold it accountable or make it restructured so the business is profitable again? But growth does break things. And in that 7th year, we did around 1.1 million revenue. We then continued on to do around 1.354 last year. But we actually grew a little bit too fast in some areas, and with our plans to franchise, we actually needed to create more profit to fund that, so we've actually scaled back a little bit for this year and seeing a lot of profits, probably a little bit less revenue. We'll still hit over 7 figures, but a little bit less than last year, potentially, depending if we can find the right people. So we're working on some cool stuff, but it's definitely a constant learning, that's for sure. So I came up with this wanky term called the service business flywheel. And these are the things that you need in like a service business to make it hum. So you need service delivery, you need technology, you need sales to sell the jobs, and you need marketing to make the phone ring, and you need admin to tie it all together. And you get this thing humming with systems, and it works very, very well for you. So that's something that I came up with. I could put myself in the middle there. It's kind of wanky, but systems are so important. So here's an example of some of the systems that we run in our little pressure cleaning company. We've got admin, qualifying systems, reporting, payroll, safety, all the documentation. We've got a bunch of sales systems. We've got productions, so that's delivery of the services to get quality and repeatability. We've got marketing systems, how we play brand, wraps, uniforms, referral programs, how we handle paid traffic, what it costs, what are the metrics, when to spend, when not to spend, VSL's landing pages, all the digital stuff, a bunch of management stuff, what we pay people, bonus plans, hiring, HR, financial controls, forecasting, incentive plans, meeting plans, and a technology stack around job management, reporting, quoting tools, CRM, automation, payments, web, phone system, dashboards, tracking, accounting, training. We've got all of that and more. So to finish up, that's been a hell of a video. The take home is, would I build this business again from 0 to $1 million? Without the knowledge that I have now, no, I wouldn't. The reason being is the pathway to that was so fucking painful, it was not a good use of time. If I had the knowledge I had now to redeploy that and redo it, absolutely, any day of the week. In fact, that's why we are franchising. I saw a couple of reasons, and I'll do another video on this later, but I saw an opportunity to help great operators and great people create those systems, create that perfect machine for their home service business. And I'm pretty good at it, and I've proven it. It's not the biggest business ever that we have, but it's a nice business. It works well, and we've got some good accolades. We've won a national award for trade services, like at a national level, which was pretty cool last year. We've won a local award. We're also the highest rated company in Australia. So that's not just me out there cleaning stuff. That's our team using our systems, being the highest rated exterior cleaning company in Australia. So I saw an opportunity to package all that up and offer it to the world. And that's what we're doing with franchising. For us, for me, it's a partnership. We're not here to sling franchises or put people in vans. We're here to work with people who see the value in using these systems and working with us as a support network to grow what we've grown here. Because my thoughts are the best way to grow a business like this is not for us to grow to $10 million or $20 million. It's going to be too chaotic. It's going to be an absolute shit show. The margins are going to be crazy, cut down to nothing. You need way too many layers of management, but instead, why not duplicate lovely little fresh fronts in nice markets around the country? So if this video has caught any interest, write something in the comments. If you've got any questions about what we've done, you can check me out on Insta. I think I'm Marty_fresh. And yeah, this has been pretty rough and ready, but there's going to be more videos later. Thanks for watching and keep at it.